Today on the show, Radical Ones, we conclude Sword and Sorcery Summer with 1984's Conan the Destroyer.
I swear that if Conan will let me ride with him, I will give my life for him.
It's time to get radical.
Something really special that I've been promising to show you.
What would you do to get him?
Grab him and take him. Take him. Like that.
Hey, look! A Dungeons and Dragons ride!
Yes! Let this be our final battle!
I have my eyes, I have my cunning, and now I have strength.
A never-ending adventure new for your Nintendo Entertainment System. Zelda!
You must find a champion, bold of heart and pure in spirit.
Champion? What champion?
Well, welcome back, Radical Ones, to the Radical Retro Rewind podcast. As always, I am your host, Radical Ryan Hunter, here with everyone's favorite brother and mine, David, for the conclusion of our Sword and Sorcery Summer.
Aww. What do you do if you want a man, Ryan? You grab him and take him! That!
Like that! Just like that. I have to say, we got a lot of joy out of doing these sword and sorcery movies this year. I feel like the Radical Ones were excited too. I know lovely Leah, she loved this sword and sorcery summer. We had a lot of interaction. What do you think? I mean, we're going to talk about Conan, of course, today, but what has been your favorite, you think, revisiting this summer of sword and sorcery?
I enjoy the genre, and, you know, as a child, looking at all of these fantastical things, you know, obviously we look at stuff now versus the technology we had then and now. We have the gift of nitpicking and saying, okay, I really want to do this movie because I really love this as a child. So we get the ability to kind of fast forward like a VCR tape. Fast forward to the movies that we really remember that invoke something in us. So, I mean, that's true with the whole podcast. Obviously, we pretty much do stuff that we like or we love or meant something to us. So, I don't know. I just love the fact that we do a theme for the summer. I don't think I ever really see a lot of other, I could be wrong, I don't see a lot of other podcasters doing like particular themes and sticking to that theme for the summer. So, or for an extended period of time other than their normal scheduling. I like that fact. It kind of gives us a little unique flair. And then on top of that, I like that our listeners seem to really enjoy the themes that we do pick. So I don't know. And of course, doing the podcast with you, again, this is our main way of really getting together and laughing about things and talking about things. So yeah, I mean, what I love about sword and sorcery in general speaking is the magical part of it, the aspect of it, the good versus evil, the rawness of it, I guess, too. And of course, the loincloths. Let's not forget the loincloths, because...
We are following this with Beastmaster from last week, so can the bodies compete with Dar's? And spoiler, David, the question is asked in this movie if Arnold is handsome and what is handsome. This poor princess, I call her Debbie Gibson, she had no idea. This man.
Cue Debbie Gibson's Out of the Blue. I never thought I'd fall in love with you.
Just to get right into it, our Queen Jenna was 14 at the time, and Arnold was 37, and the whole time I'm just like, girl, no, this is not it.
You're thinking Anna Nicole?
This is not it. He's very nice, you know what, he took care of you, but ooh, girls.
Listen, nobody can deny that Arnold Schwarzenegger had a amazing buff body. Now,
yes, of course.
You know, and everybody's got their type. So I have to still say that even though Dar, Beastmaster, had a body that I would actually want for myself, Arnold's a little too much work for me.
They actually made him pump up even more for this role, this particular Conan.
Well, I mean, he is playing a barbarian. So when you think barbarian, you think brute and like, I don't know. Listen, it doesn't matter. We're here now. He can be the Terminator. He could be the Governator. He could be whatever.
As a matter of fact, he did the Terminator right after this movie. And it was followed by, David, Red Sonja, which... That's one movie we should have done this year for Sword and Sorcery Summer, but
with Foofy, no.
Foofy herself,
Flavor of Love,
Brigitte Nielsen, a fresh-faced Brigitte Nielsen, which, David, in my research, I'm sure people knew this, but that was supposed to be a sequel to this movie, and they ended up losing the rights to Conan, and Arnold was supposed to be a Conan, guest appearance, and they, with trickery and multiple cameras, they ended up filming him more to have him have a bigger role without him even knowing it, and they lost his name of Conan, so they had to give him a generic, I think it was Caldor. Don't quote me on that.
Caldor has the Magnavox AM/FM clock radio, just $19.70. The AM/FM stereo dual cassette recorder for $99. Compact disc player $179, and the AM/FM stereo cassette recorder just $39.99 after rebate.
Caldor, the barbarian kind of thing. So disaster. But that's not what we're here for today. We are here, of course, for 1984's Conan the Destroyer.
In his first adventure, he stole the treasure of 3 kings and crushed the empire of an evil sorcerer. But his biggest triumph was at the box office. Now, Arnold Schwarzenegger is back as Conan the Destroyer to join forces with a wizard, a warrior, a runaway, and a renegade. Pursued by the armies of hostile kingdoms, they must stop a queen who will rule the world or destroy it. A band of outcasts in a battle to free the earth. Grace Jones, Wilt Chamberlain, Mako, Sarah Douglas, and Arnold Schwarzenegger as Conan the Destroyer. The all-new adventures of the most powerful legend of them all.
In this second cinematic adventure, the mighty warrior Conan, Arnold Schwarzenegger, is tricked into working for the scheming queen Tarmis?
Sierra Mist.
She was in Superman 2, right? She was, I want to say Ursula, but I think it was Ursa.
I don't remember that. Was it in Beastmaster 3 or something? Wasn't she the scheming witch that was very snarky?
Oh my
god. That ended up in the 1980s, and she wanted to stay there, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
She wanted to stay there? Beastmaster through the portal of time, David. Lorana?
Mum Rana.
You're right. And matter of fact, yes, and Superman, where was it? Superman 2 and 1, Ursa. So this woman got around. She played Stone Cold.
Was she also
villainous.
in one of the Night of the Living Dead movies?
Swamp Things, it says here. David, look at you! Return of the Living Dead 3. Yes, the lieutenant. Yes.
That's why I'm on this podcast.
Puppet Master. You did pretty damn good. Okay, so she's in this movie. Clearly, she's the star. Sarah Douglas. Along with finding a mystical horn, Conan and his allies, which include the fierce fighter Zula, played by Grace Jones, which, David, is why we're doing this movie,
Grace Jones.
And the wisecracking sorcerer, Akiro, they must protect the beautiful young princess, Jenna. With deception and danger at every turn, Conan has to use all of his powers to defeat the evil foes that stand in his way, David. This was given originally an R rating because at the time, so after PG, it would go directly to R. There was no PG-13
or NC-17.
So, that's even more. This is crazy. After the success of E.T. and the child friendliness of that movie, which came out the same year as the original Conan, which was a hard R. They decided to make this a more lighter, comedic version. And honestly, David, this is the version I remember of Conan. The more generic, happy-go-lucky, kind of like, family-friendly Conan. That's the one I'm used to. I remember literally renting this on VHS.
I wrote down a few notes here. For example, Conan and his friend Malik are thieves. Conan does proceed to punch a horse and clobber a camel.
Which, by the way, that camel is a running joke, evidently, in the original one. He beats that camel, and that's why...
on him. He says sorry or something to it, and it spits on him.
And yeah, he said, I'm sorry about last time. And then he beats the camel again and knocks it out. So we get right into the action, right, David, with this movie? But what is some of your other notes?
Basically, Conan is not usually a muscle for hire, but he's doing this because Queen Taramis promises through her magical ways that she's going to get his true love back, Valeria, who's dead.
Do you know who I am?
Taramis.
Queen Taramis.
Not my queen.
You have a queen, but you are a Sumerian. The Sumerians have no rulers. You're a barbarian. You live free in the world. You owe allegiance to no one. Is that not so?
It is, and it always will be. What do you want?
I need your help.
No.
No. You don't know what I'd be willing to give you if you help me.
You have nothing that I want.
You were praying, Conan. What were you praying for?
She didn't make
it.
He
kind of says you
movie.
Can't do that, and she says yes, I can, and he kind of feeds into this fantasy that she is going to be able to resurrect Valeria, and that is the reason why he is doing all of this. He's not like a hired gun in any sense of the word.
No, matter of fact, he's tested, right? I mean, we begin right in this battle where him and this
Malik is his kind of weaselly, funny, cowardice friend who's also a thief. They laugh about being thieves, basically.
A thief, but also a coward. Like, that's just... we're supposed to get behind him and think he's funny. I personally don't get it. But, you know...
Like they try to give him, like, this weaselly sort of, like, thing. And he's, so... Anyway,
don't do
it's a different layer. It's a different layer of the onion.
So like David said, the queen pulls up and she basically says that she's testing his skill. She wants him to fulfill this quest. Yeah, she will bring back his lost love, Valeria. And he agrees, David. So he is to escort the queen's niece, Princess Jenna. This is Debbie Gibson. AKA a virgin who is destined, David, to restore the jeweled horn of the dreaming god Dagoth. So dreaming god just is AKA for this is a god that's on a pedestal with an evil Lyn headdress on. And he's the dreaming god. He's the dreaming god. She could do dreaming magic too, right? She goes, sleep, sleep. Why she gotta be a virgin? Why she gotta be a virgin?
On this journey with Conan and his thief friend and a few others, the queen also sends her head of guard,
Bambata, played by
Bambata,
Wilt
which she must have said about 1,000 times. Yeah,
really?
Man, Bambata. That's what I feel like. And she must have yelled it. Jenna yelled it another time. So Bambata is also in on this scheme because we find out that Jenna has to stay a virgin. So she thinks Conan's gonna bed her.
Go back to sleep.
I saw it. I saw it.
Tomorrow, you start your journey. You'll need all your strength. Your destiny is at hand. Now, sleep. All our destinies are at hand. Even Conan's, but he doesn't yet know it.
We don't need him, my queen.
I don't need the captain of the guard to steal a key. That is a task for a thief. What I do need you for is to see that this dear child is returned safely to the palace, both the treasure and her virginity intact.
I will protect them both.
You better, my friend. For she must be a virgin when she's returned to me, so she can be properly sacrificed. One other thing, Bambata. It is not wise to have the king of thieves near the treasure. So when the key is in my niece's hand, I want your sword in Conan's heart. Have the elite guard follow, They will strike at the right moment to help you. Conan must die.
Like, at first I was like, oh, she's so sweet. She's protecting the niece's virginity. And then literally she's just like, oh, she needs to be sacrificed.
Did they use the term she must not be known to a man or something? Like, did they do that? I remember what movie did I remember that in?
I mean, sounds about right. I think she said virginity in this. Like, I think Bombada was to protect.
Remember in Spaceballs with Joan Rivers, the robot with the princess? Virgin alert. So anyway, Bombada, who's also in on this to make sure she's safe to get the horn, to awaken the dream god. He's also there to keep her virtue, I guess. So anyway, I digress.
Which is hysterical, David, because Wilt Chamberlain was known for having the absurd claim that he had slept with over 20,000 women. And Elvira said in her memoir that he forced himself on her to perform a sexual act, and they were actually friends at the time. So she came forward to say that. So the funny part is, not that any of this is funny, is that this character was given the responsibility to protect this young woman with his 20,000 lovemakings.
That's a walking STD right there. I hate to tell you.
Oh. So yeah, yes, Bombada is on this journey with them. Before we get past the Queen's Palace, did you love the atmosphere, David? The Black Swans, Black Panthers in her bedroom, which I noticed only on a rewatch of a scene, and peacocks.
I love peacocks. They're supposedly really nasty, but they are so beautiful. That was my wedding, yeah.
Theme, one of them. Part
I
of
used
the theme.
Peacock feathers in place of flowers at my centerpieces for my wedding. Should I post that online? Post that online. Note to self, Ryan.
We all looked amazing at that wedding. That was
my hair was darkened. I wasn't draped in gold or anything.
I think that was the height. And peacocks are also famously demons, too.
Oh, jeez. Why don't you tell them that story?
Which, really quickly, what was this? Probably 13 years ago? Like, how many years ago?
When he was young and innocent, and the world did not corrupt him. Anyway, go on.
I think that's because I was doing the overnights at Pottery Barn, and I was always in a daze. Like, I couldn't figure out.
So, long story short, we were driving to, I think, an Italian restaurant. Were we going someplace?
Food was involved, probably.
A peacock was crawling across the street, but like really crawling, not walking like with the feathers up, literally like really crawling across the street. Ryan let out a scream,
I was watching it for a while, David,
and he thought for some reason that this looks like some kind of demonic thing crawling on the ground. I admit it was strange because I've never seen a peacock dip it low and pick it up slow like this peacock was doing. This peacock was on the ground, like crawling, like for its life. I don't know.
This is Long Island, by the way. This is not a tropical place.
So we later find out that the peacock escaped from some sort of wildlife thing, right? I think I remember that, but.
It had to have. And it was crawling for dear life. Could be demons. So it's perfect that they're with this. So do you care that we got the plot twist from the beginning that this is the whole deal? Or would you have rathered him just turn on Conan and us not having to know that he's going to turn on him at any minute and put a sword in him like the Queen has instructed Bombada? Now you got me saying Bombada.
Bombada. Bombada. The forbidden dance.
Maybe we'll do that too.
No, honestly, I think it could have worked either way. How about this? This is what I'm going to say about it. It could lend itself to adding like the build up because you know that Conan and Jenna will be betrayed at some point. So you know that they're going to be betrayed at some point. So it just kind of does build up for me. And again, maybe this is, an 80s barbarian movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger in it. Maybe I'm getting too deep, but I actually kept thinking to myself, knowing the whole time that Bombada and the Queen were going to sacrifice this poor girl, I kept thinking to myself, Bombada seemed like he's been in her life for a very long time, almost like a father figure, and how horrific that this man could just like she clung to him for protection and safety. So that really was a big betrayal, and actually maybe to the point that you're saying, maybe knowing that ahead of time, because I kept going back to she's clinging to this man, she's helpless, and he knowingly is going to sacrifice her, and I think it's just terrible. So I guess that way it definitely spoke to me. So I guess I'm actually enjoyed the fact that it was given to us immediately.
And did you feel, I kept hoping beyond hope, and again, I saw this movie over 20 years ago at this point. I kept thinking, oh wait, no, he's gonna end up, because of this connection. Like you said, it seemed real too. There was a few times that even when he helped Conan, you're like, is he gonna turn on the queen? But then he would do something like close the door. So they go on this journey, of course. They have to get this gem. Bambada goes as the queen's guard, and Jenna has to go with them. So the gem is secure, David, in the fortress of a powerful wizard who happens to evidently be a circus performer, which we'll get into. Conan seeks the help of his friend Akiro, the wizard of the Mounds, who happened to be in the first movie, and he has to be rescued, David, from a tribe of cannibals who capture him. What is with these cannibals? There's always cannibals. All the time cannibals. That goes hand in hand with a sword and sorcery. Give them some cannibals. Give them some cannibals.
I think that's just because food is scarce and you have to think about the savagery of it all.
And he was slicing heads, David. You always say the Thundercats on our Thundercats reviews, they should slice off Mumra's head. Conan, it might have been a PG-13 or whatever PG, but he is slicing heads off. They just go whack, and these heads just fly. Conan says to the wizard, I need you, David, and he says, I'm yours. So, we get that.
Conan, wait! We must go this way.
Not yet.
But you have to obey me.
Weren't you told? There are rules to every game.
I believe you, but there's magic in this game, and I have to be able to fight it with magic.
Akiro. I need you. I'm yours.
There also is the fact that they are traveling to this wizard's castle, and then they come across a warrior woman, or another thief, I believe, who is shackled, who is fighting off a bunch of people, and this is Miss Grace Jones.
Hit her! Get her!
What did you do?
She came with the bandits to raid our village. The others are dead. Now it's her turn.
After we have our fun with her.
Yeah! Don't kill her too soon!
Save her!
Thieves should be hanged.
Conan, there are 6 of them against her.
1, 2, 3. I think you're right.
And she's tied to the stake. Do something!
Does that remind you? She was wearing a tail,
So
right?
I got to tell you a story about this.
To be
the tail brings me back to. So I don't know if you know this, and I'm going to show you on the screen. I, years ago, worked at the Fashion Square. I worked at Bed Bath & Beyond at the Fashion Square in California. This guy was one of the cashiers who ends up being on Project Runway. It was Victor Luna. I don't know if you... So this guy was one of the cashiers at the customer service desk, and he used to have on these fur tails all the time. Now you have to remember, this is a while ago. This is before furries and everybody, was doing that. So this is interesting. But yeah, I worked with this guy before he went on to Project Runway as it became a designer. So funny small world. But every time, as soon as I saw the tail, because I used to think to myself, he's always got this little fur tail thing on all the time.
He's wearing Zula goodness over here. Zula realness. He's bringing to Bed Bath & Beyond. To me, though, the first thought I got, unfortunately, was I just saw a video recently where they were talking about butt plugs that have tails on them, just so happened to be. It was actually another podcast, so it was not a sexual thing by any means, but they were talking about how these tailed butt plugs are, and that, of course, mixed with Grace Jones, who is just... I mean, this woman loves her sex. It's very well known. David, her screams and her yips as she rides off after she does her swing of the spear when she gets to attack the people back. Because I love that the Princess Jenna says, she's one woman, one person, and she's being, attacked by all these people.
And Conan, she goes, I think she's being attacked by at least 5 5 people. And Conan's like, sounds about right. Or it looked like it, like he was counting. Yeah, okay, looks about right.
Grace's character, Zula, in the comics was originally male. So this is an early version of someone taking a character and doing the gender swap. Is that what you would call it, I suppose?
Listen, Grace Jones could have been Conan the Barbarian.
Yes, she should.
I thought it was interesting. I think that Jenna being like a soft-sided, I think Conan was just going to leave her, basically. He didn't care. And she's like, she's a woman and she's being attacked and she cannot defend herself fully. But she was also a thief, and they were saying that they were deathly afraid of her, though, too. It's really interesting how they must have gotten, because these are very simple town folks.
When he goes into these towns, by the way, they know him. They know of Conan.
So he's like Hercules. So the legend of Conan lives on.
Exactly. The legend continues weekly. So, David, Grace trained 18 months for the role. And this I love. If this is the most Grace Jones thing you've ever heard. Grace Jones threw a party to celebrate her casting, David, and she served steak tartare. She says Zula was purely animal in Conan, so I felt we should all eat raw meat. Speaking of raw meat and Grace Jones, David.
Everyone knows we love Grace Jones. If you had to pick someone, like a person as your spirit animal, it would be Grace Jones.
David. And my favorite thing about Grace is she will not perform until she gets the money in her hands. She will wait there at the dressing room until you pay that woman.
She's smart.
She is smart. She is smart.
What do you want?
To come with you.
Be off.
Let me speak to Conan.
I said be off.
Stop! Leave.
I swear that if Conan will let me ride with him, I will give my life for him.
We shall see.
There's that one part where she goes to Bambata, that she wants to join their group, right? And he tells her to leave. So the next thing she does, David, is this galloping, running spears with her horse. Joust, almost-esque. So we're watching this, right? And you see how she attaches to his neck like an animal at one point? She throws herself, propels herself, and attaches. It turns out Grace Jones actually bit Wilt Chamberlain's ear. This is real blood running down his neck. The shocked look on his face is genuine. This was Grace Jones' first movie role, and she had never done stunts before.
She never do stunts before, so she thought that most actors get bit. Oh, that's too much.
She really went for it? What's funny is, though, later on, Bambata's character tries to bite Conan's ear. Did you notice
I know,
this?
it was totally giving me Mike Tyson realness.
Yes! Go for the ears! Go right for the ears. So we get to this point, right? Now, the ragtag group is assembled, David, right? What did we learn on our Sword and Sorcery Summer? You need to get the random group together, the Wizard of Oz. Pick up this one here, you picked up that one there, you got there. So they got the complete group right
one thing I've noticed, or maybe I'm reading in too much into it, but all of these people are bound by a code, because Conan saved the magician's life from being cooked alive.
Yes.
He saved Zula. They cut her free, even though he at that point he was like, whatever. Let her fend for herself. So I feel like those people, regardless of their standings in society, they were thieves and stuff. There still was a code of honor. You saved me, so now I am bound to you. I want to be in your service. I want to help you because you did this for me. So maybe there is honor among thieves.
You know what, David? I agree, because Zula actually says she will give up her life for Conan, and I believed it. We didn't have to see it happen in this movie, but I did believe that she would give up her life for him, because at this point, I guess she's living on borrowed time anyway, because she survived that attack on her. So they reach the ancient temple where the horn is secured, and they decide now they have to rest.
I'm the leader here.
Lead in the morning. It will be better. We must rest.
My thinking exactly.
Conan says they're going to have this rest. We get Grace around the fire, right? So she's staring up at the sky like she is mad at the world. This is what I just love. I love this Grace performance. We got some shenanigans with our weasel friends. He tries to give her some
trying
cream.
to put stuff on her, and he's like, "I'm just trying to help you. God, can't help people these days anymore." That's exactly how he talks.
Honestly, you did that fantastic.
He was trying to feel her up to get all the way up, and she was like, you.
My wound is lower, she says. I will spread your head open.
Wait. This is much better. Akiro's own magic mixture. Let me help you.
What do you think you're doing?
Covering your wound.
My wound is lower.
We don't want an infection to spread.
I'll spread your head open.
This is what the world has come to. You try to help somebody, and what do you get instead of thanks? Threats.
I loved that. But then we also get this moment where Jenna goes to her and goes, you're amazing. And Grace says, all my people are warriors in my tribe. And she wants to learn to be a warrior too, Debbie.
Well, it seems that men like women warriors.
Some.
Do you think that I could ever be one?
I could teach you how to use this.
Yes. Please.
Now the power is in the wrists.
Oh, I see. Like this?
That's right. They've got to stay loose.
Oh.
It takes practice and strength.
Wait. Hold on. If you're going to learn how to fight, then learn with a real weapon. Not with a toothpick. Here, I'll show you. Stand like this.
This is a part where then you kind of have that chauvinistic side. So Conan's been drinking.
Out of what was that, like a gourd?
Yeah, looks like a gourd, like a hollowed gourd as a thing. And he's drinking it up. He is drunk out of his mind. And Zula is trying to teach her with her staff, which is very much like the whole thing from the Beastmaster with the guy with the staff.
Yes, and you could kick someone's butt with.
And he's like, "You need a real weapon, a sword."
He calls it a toothpick, which is he sees what this woman does, right?
And he's capable
he sees
of,
what she
but
does.
this is kind of like a chauvinistic thing. That does kind of show that he does have that mentality in a way.
It shows his real side when he's drinking, Dave.
Yeah, that's what they say.
This is real Conan.
This does show Jenna's innocent part because she's almost afraid to approach people, but she wants to learn something because she's never been out of the castle because she's destined for this destiny of getting the horn and then unbeknownst to her being sacrificed.
Happy birthday.
He's like, "You try this," and Conan gives her his sword, which immediately she's about to drop it because it's so heavy.
She can't lift this damn thing. It is. I can only imagine what a real sword had to have been like. Because
you mean like that magical Thundercats sword that somehow made its way to my house?
And isn't it heavy? It's heavy, and that's not even a real sword. So can you imagine?
But I pick up 60 or more pound children every day. Ron, so
like, how dare you say this? The Sword of Omens? Nothing. Yes, you're right. We get more of this character. We're seeing the world through her eyes. But she is so non-whatever about it. She literally goes from the next to the next. She just is like, mid-conversation, she goes to the next one. And tell me more about men. And tell me this. Is that really real? Like, she just does it in front of everyone. She just goes forward and just talks. It's so weird. But whatever the case is.
She's very sheltered and she's inquisitive. And this is the first time that she's had a taste of raw life, real life, and seeing real events. Men. And she wants that Conan.
Do you think Bombada was pissed that he had to ask? She's like I said earlier when we started this episode, is he handsome? And he's just like,
I don't know, but I'm going to go sacrifice you when you get home. So it don't really matter.
In the middle of the night, David, it's supposed to be a bird, but that is a pterodactyl.
So he does take her, they camp out, he does take Jenna, the wizard transforms into, I put a pterodactyl, takes her to the castle, and then they wake up at some point and they're like, where is she? And they're like, she's in there.
Who took her?
A giant bird.
A bird of smoke. Into the boat.
Somebody should stay and watch the horses.
Malik!
It didn't need me.
The wizard does his, like, their wizard.
What is the finger thing?
He does this, he's groaning and moaning and doing this, like, it's,
does.
you know what? It's very, like...
Hey, it's Sailor
It's very,
Mars.
like, yeah, it's definitely that thing where you're using your hands, and it's very much the Wizards, the show The Wizards. It's very much like a lot of the anime and stuff that I've seen where they have to basically conjure by making things and symbols with
It's
their
like
hands.
hand magic, I think they call it.
Yeah.
You learn things all the time.
Jazz fingers, everybody. Jazz fingers.
Is the moaning, though, part of the whole thing, David? Or is that just his addedness?
He's summoning the power, Ryan.
All
He's
right,
summoning
I
the
believe
power.
that.
Like Grace Jones' scream. Like Xena's
When she
call.
just goes, "Ah!" and throws herself Grace. He figures out at one point, because they're at a dead end, he's like, wizard. And he does the pointing thing. He's like, oh, there's an entrance in the water. And they all just jump in.
Except for the weasel guy. He's like, I don't want to go in the water. I'll just stay here with the boat. And then he's like, oh no, they need me.
Did they really, though? David, you're doing this so good, which makes me think that he's almost like at the time, a modern 80s character thrown into this barbaric world. That's how he's performing, I think. Now that you're doing it and like the way he's speaking, to me, that's an 80s character. Like, I'm supposed to be smarter because I'm like outside and I'm judging. I don't know. Something like he knows better. So this would you say this is one of the climactic battles of the movie? This mirror beast, this ape creature that he turns into with the red cloak?
So at some point they go underwater. They do get inside this mirrored glass castle, which is really cool. It's the Crystal Castle.
I mean, it's
Crystal Tokyo. Sailor Moon. There is a point where they get separated, and the wizard, they're like on one end of this glass, and Conan's inside this mirrored chamber that's like the fun house that's like spinning around, and the wizard goes inside the glass and transforms himself into this very angry, sort of generic mongrel.
It looked like to me,
gorilla,
like a
monster.
It wanted to be an ape, but yet a monster, and the growl was so stock dinosaur sounding.
They're trying to get in. The wizard is trying to use his magic to open up the glass. You know, his thing with his symbol hand powers, his hand magic. And Conan is being attacked by this creature. But it's something that's been seen and done so many times where there's mirror images around you so you don't know who the...
It's a video game at this point where the character, which one do I hit? Like even Sailor Moon, we go back to Sailor Moon again, like with the snow dancers, David. At one point, you know, Conan figures out breaking the glass around is somehow slashing this monster's body. I guess magical, because he had to call upon the four winds. And it's down to two different glasses, mirrors. He figures one is behind. They make you think he's going to accidentally kill the group because they're behind here, but they couldn't have just smashed through, which they do right after Bombada. Anyway, and he throws it. He kills the wizard. He kills the wizard.
Bombada.
And David, she literally walks through the fire. Argena, like Buffy. She walks through the fire and grabs the diamond. The diamond, David. We also have Grace being scared of a mouse, which I thought was cute. It shows that her character, she's like, you know, I'm tough, but a rat can still scare me kind of thing, which was funny.
Well, you never know, though. I mean, probably carried the bubonic plague. I'd be scared, too. If
You're
right,
right,
me.
actually. What is this whole thing where I wrote, is this where they're arguing about the brother's, sister's, cousin thing, or is this later on? Because Grace, like, your friend, the weasel guy, he's talking about my brother's, sister's, cousin thing, and then Grace goes, what difference does it make? Like, out of nowhere in the background, like, brother, sister's, cousin!
That's me after a while. That was me at Disneyland when I had enough the nonsense that went on with
what difference does it make? So that's my highlight. That Grace, what do they call that? Like when they do the voiceover sessions, you could tell that wasn't done on set. It was like one of these AVR things. What difference does it make?
I love it, but that's the thing. This is also what made that character endearing to me, because she was saying what everybody else is thinking. How ridiculous. That is me. After a while, I'd be like, what does it matter if we're all gonna die anyway, you idiot?
Just kill them. Leave nothing but the bones. That's what you got left.
Exactly.
So, did they give her a new gown too? I wrote her bird outfit. Did Jenna get a bird outfit from that wizard while she was there?
He did kind of clothe her in something else. This is also where I think he was a little pervo. Like he was getting that, like, you're gonna stay with me in the magic mirror castle.
Because she got the sands of sleep put on her? She was out cold, so what happened?
He slipped her a roofie.
Bombada was there. So, David, we continue now. The magical item has been gotten. The horn is secure, David. Jenna obtains it, and Akiro deciphers in engravings. He learns that there is a ritual, and she is to be sacrificed to awaken Dagoth.
It is written in the scrolls of Skelos that the horn will be found by a woman child, a virgin, who will have a mark upon her. And when the horn is placed once more in the forehead of the dreaming god, Dagoth will arise. Then let man fear death to the world. Woman child will be sacrificed. The girl's destiny isn't only to deliver the horn.
It's just writing on the wall.
She is to be killed, sacrificed.
We shall see. Destiny or not. Everybody out! Out!
Then they are attacked by the priests guarding the horn, which came a little late. When did they get the alert? Oh, the horn has been touched.
They got the alert on their iPhones.
Yes, the storm is approaching. Attacked by the priests guarding the horn, a secret exit is revealed. Bombada blocks the others' escape and seizes Jenna. Despite his treachery, Conan and his allies escape from the priests and trek to Salazar to rescue Jenna. I don't think it's Salazar, but they travel somewhere. They travel to rescue Jenna.
They've gone.
Taking their horses.
Or been captured. Let's flee.
Wait. Bombada took her. Tarama's planned it from the beginning. We get the horn, her guards will kill us, and Bombada takes the girl and the horn back to her.
And her promise to you?
A lie.
Where are we going?
To Shadisar,
What for?
to stop Jenna's sacrifice.
But it's her destiny. It can't be stopped.
You don't have to come.
I will.
I will.
I won't. I mean, what's in it for us? What are we, some charitable institution? We're thieves! Go! I won't help. Hey! Hey, wait for me! You know you can't do without me! Go, go! Wait, Conan, wait!
Because what does Conan say? We'll see if she's going to be sacrificed, something like that.
Like, he's so confident in himself, and like when the wizard was reading the inscription, he's like, that could, like, in other words, he was like, could be, maybe not, I don't know.
Oh, hold on. Fingers point the way. This statue, by the way, of Dagoth, David, it is giving me Triceratops, but it's also like rubber, and it's the craziest looking.
It was giving me Femme Queen. I don't know.
Evelyn headdress with a little, like, yeah, it did have no cloak, right? It had some kind of like little skimpy outfit on too. That statue.
The way he was like lounging, it gave me like, I don't know,
waiting for Cabana Boys to come.
Yeah, it's giving me the pleasure god. I don't know. Maybe that's why she liked him so much. So wait, but you also didn't talk about that there was a point where that their wizard was fighting another wizard to keep the door open and close.
They were moaning, David, right? They were just moaning back and forth. And he gets it closed. It was like a jaw and Akiro.
It was like he was constipated and he hasn't gone to the bathroom in like a week and he's trying to summon
Akiro. Oh, God, David. So, they get away, and they're trying to make their way there, right? Malik shows them a secret route to the throne room. Conan confronts Bombada and kills him in combat. Now, this is where I thought there might have been a redemption story for Bombada, that he would maybe try to...
I did think that. I thought maybe he'd be like, well, they're going to win anyway. Why should I, like, sacrifice this girl who really... I'm like a father figure to her. And no...
No, he's loyal to this queen.
Today is your birthday. All of Shadowzar is celebrating. Drink. To life. For Dagoth.
For Dagoth.
Honestly, this is amazing because Zula impales the Grand Visor before he can sacrifice Jenna. What did Jenna think was happening, David? She gives her a drink?
I think she was under a spell.
Okay.
She was under a spell. They gave her a drink of something to make her complacent.
She's like, happy birthday, niece.
You're going to drink this.
Dagoth's coming, girl. You know what that means. We're going to have an amazing time. Dagoth turns out to be... It's actually Andre the Giant, by the way, underneath his makeup, but it is a gigantic, winged, horned creature.
Blobby, scary creature.
Something you would see in these kinds of movies. So, the throw that Grace does, to me, that was just... I was just... that's it. We could have ended the movie right there when she impales that priest.
That was beyond Olympic javelin throwing.
Well, don't you think that's when she should have did like a comment almost like toothpick or something like that, you know, like, but she didn't have to. I mean, she clearly didn't have to, because look at that throw. That was amazing. But just when you think it's safe, no, Dagoth, his face melts, the rubber white porcelain looking mask distorts, and he turns into that creature that we were talking about. So he's starting to attack Conan. Zula and Malik join the fight, but Dagoth effortlessly sweeps them aside. Akiro tells Conan that the horn keeps the monster alive, so he rips it out, which honestly looked fantastic. I thought it looked really like guttural how he ripped it.
Yeah,
ooh.
They also threw the queen, right? Pushed the queen onto him. Like, you wanted it so bad, now you got it.
She is impaled. She should have had a worse death, David, though, after trying to her poor niece that she kept a virgin all these years.
Something telling me she's gonna fix that problem the same night.
No, Conan, if we learned anything, Conan is...
Oh, she'll find somebody else. She'll be like, oh,
Wizard,
I'm the queen now. You have to do everything I say.
Wizard, I never realized you were so handsome.
Are you handsome?
So, David, this is where we get the whole grand wrap up, right? This is, again,
This is the Ewok Village celebration at the end.
Ewok Village, Star Wars. I got the first Star Wars where Leia's given them all their medals.
Accolades.
We get the redone thing. We get Grace Jones' pigtail ensemble. That had to have been her, right? Coming up with something.
I thought I was giving me like the whole Christina Aguilera and Lady Marmalade Wild.
Oh my God. Yeah. Well, that also Wizard of Oz. Everyone's getting a job. This woman is generous. Oh, you just so happen to be here.
Jenna says, I suppose if a man can do it, a woman can too. So she made Zula the head of her guard.
Tila, very He-Man and Tila here. Look,
yes. She said every kingdom needs a fool, so the weasel guy becomes her jester. The wizard becomes her. She says he's the most powerful wizard in the world. His
hands are like no other. That's what she's gonna find out later.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Zula, I need a captain of the guards. I see no reason why a woman wouldn't do as well as a man. You.
Me?
Come here. I understand that every king or queen must have a fool.
Do I qualify?
More than qualify. Will the world's greatest wizard come forward, please?
At your service.
One cannot rule without wisdom.
Let me instruct you in the fine arts of...
Later.
And then she offers Conan to have his own kingdom, which is what he wants, evidently. He's holding out for the kingdom and also Valeria, but Valeria ain't coming back, unfortunately.
Rule Shadizar with me.
I will have my own kingdom. My own queen.
He flat out refuses her. He's like, no, she tries to give him a kiss.
He says no. He says no, a kingdom, I want the kingdom that was promised to me.
We get this ending that this is another story. He's sitting on his throne, which we never get, David. We never got that other story.
I would have just, well, you know, at the same time, his heart belonged to Valeria, and I think almost in a way, he looked at Jenna as like a little girl to him.
Thank God, David.
He's a man.
Though.
He wants a woman. This is a little girl.
Like Grace, honestly. But actually, she probably would have been too much for him. But let me just lay it out there. What did our friends say? Robert Ebert and Siskel. Old Sissel. Siskel.
Lay it on me.
David, we might have broken the curse. Robert says Conan is more cheerful than the first Conan movie. And it also has sustained action, including a good sequence in the Glass Palace. He gave it 3 stars. Although Siskel wasn't as much of a fan, and the one thing he wanted was Grace and Arnold to be a love interest. That was his big thing that he wanted to happen, which didn't happen.
Grab him and take him.
Take him like that? I mean, I guess. But yes, to go back, though, to David, your whole thing about them being like this ragtag group of thieves with honor, I think he looked at her as one of his warriors, basically. And he don't mix blizzards.
You know what's really funny? Did you notice, I don't know if I'm crazy, did you notice the only time you found out what Zula's name was is when she went up to Zula one time. Jenna went up to Zula and said, Zula.
Yep.
And she wanted to talk to her about something.
Yes.
That was it. The name was never mentioned when she joined them. The name was never called out.
No.
That I remember. It was only one time.
You're right. And it wasn't Bombada. It was not Bombada, as you mentioned. Ding! The count.
Bombada.
Ding.
Bombada.
So, David, there have been attempts to make the third film with Arnold as King Conan. In October of 2012, they announced plans for Schwarzenegger to return to the role of Conan for the film Legend of Conan. The planned story was a direct sequel to the original, bypassing, of course, how they love to do, Conan the Destroyer. And, David, the 2011 remake, which I have yet to see besides clips, because that is Jason Momoa, and Rose McGowan is our witch villain. This was after Charmed. She played a powerful witch, so I cannot believe that I have not seen the complete movie. Did you see this Jason Momoa remake?
No, I did not.
They said it's horrible.
Well, that's probably why we didn't see it. They probably shelved it.
What I think was they said he was actually the main problem with it, the way he was playing it and things. But honestly, I guess it's hard. Like, I don't know if you can do movies like this anymore. Can we make barbarian movies still, David?
Well, I guess if Arnold Schwarzenegger's son was ever going to get into acting.
Which one? No, the real ones?
The
illegitimate. Yes.
I don't know.
Some trivia, David. 6 people controlled the Dagoth monster's arms, mouth, eyes, and body, other than when it wasn't Andre. Oh, this is amazing. Grace Jones puts 2 stuntmen in the hospital by accident with a fighting stick. Or was that not part of her? She was in her first movie, so she didn't realize you didn't have to kill somebody.
I have to tell you, I really believe that Grace Jones is who she is.
Yes.
Like, you know what I'm trying to say? She is authentically herself. Like, she is just a force, and that's why I think we like her so much, because I don't think that she really is different from when you see her on an interview. I think she's no nonsense. I think she's no BS. Yes. I think she is aggressively powerful. I think even seeing her perform, like, she is no one can tell her that she can't do something either.
That is the truth.
And I think that's her appeal for us, really, is that it's the fact that she's unapologetic. And I always tell people, like, when things like they talk about like gay pride and stuff, I said my gay pride really is I basically live my life out. Like, it's you know what I'm trying to say? It's just you. I am who I am.
Not a phony.
I don't cower or say something weird. If someone asks me a direct question, question, I'm direct with them. If we go someplace, I'm like, this is my husband, you know, blah, blah, blah. Like, that's what I think I get from her. And that's why I think I personally like her so much, is because what you see is what you get. And you're going to know where you stand immediately.
Yes, you will. If she lets you stand, David. Matter of fact, in popular culture, Kim Wayne's spoof portrays Grace Jones in living color based on her performance of Zula in Conan the Destroyer, which, of course, a classic. We've mentioned that forever on the show. The legacy of this film, David, is, I believe, for people who were fans of the original one, which was a hard R, extremely brutal, and it's a very different movie. But if you grew up on this lighter sequel, much like this is the one, again, like I said, this is the Conan I think of, I think the legacy for me is strong. I mean, I enjoyed it. The things with the sword and sorcery movies, I mean, they were similar, but the ones we picked all, I think, brought something different to everything. And I really enjoyed this, though. But David, if I had to pick one from the whole summer as the definitive one that I really enjoyed the most, I would say Beastmaster, honestly. I mean, Jason and the Argonauts was just, that was just classic beauty and handsome and the Muppet fur lashes. But Beastmaster, that was charming.
So here's something funny. Do you remember Cromwell was the bad guy in The Sword and the Sorcerer,
yes.
right? Crom was mentioned in the Beastmaster.
Oh, yeah.
So I guess that's a common...
Well, yeah, these names do kind of, right? Even Malik, all these names sound very familiar and interchangeable with each other. My God, how do you conclude a summary of sword and sorcery, David? How do you close it out? What's the right words? How do we finish this summer and let it be epic as we hoped?
What's the one conclusion I can bring this number to?
Okay, so this is our last episode of the season, David. But of course, we'll be back for one more outing with Thundercats before the summer is over.
Well, first of all, behind the scenes, we're going to still be recording, so...
That's so true. There's no break. September is technically a break, but it's going to be like nothing happened, yeah, because you go right back into the grind of, you got to get the episodes ready for, the week after, but...
Yeah, it's like behind the scenes, though it may be harder... for you to see me. I kept my promise.
Don't keep your distance. Don't keep your distance.
No, we'll be recording. I would love to hear at the end after this plays, and I want to know what people thought of the summer and if it was something that they really enjoyed. I feel like people really like the theme. I love a good theme, to be honest with you. So I'm not quite sure what I could say to close this out. This is just us, we go with what we like, and if there happens to be a cluster of movies, who knows what next year will hold.
It's so true. We're ready thinking as always, of course. We're always evolving too, David. When we get direction from the radical ones and we hear from them specifically on something, we always try to deliver in some kind of way. So
I wonder if we could do a small series for next summer. I'm just throwing it out there for everybody, like something that's got a limited
mindset like us.
Critically reviewed. One season. Do you know what I'm talking about from Schitt's Creek with Alexis?
No, is that what you're talking?
Instead of saying critically acclaimed, my critically reviewed.
that would be us.
Limited series on being Alexis. Maybe we could do something like that. We'll do like a show that only has like 10 episodes or something and do the whole summer. There's so many things we've talked about, so we'll see. But what can we bring to a conclusion? I hope everyone enjoyed it. We're through another summer, which is crazy.
On to our 4th season.
I know. It's crazy. Send money. Oh, you know what I want to do? I want to do a cute little shout out too. I have been listening to these little gay stories on this podcast.
Little gay stories. No,
little gay stories. And the podcast, they have a decent amount of, I think they have more followers than we do, probably.
Of course, who doesn't? Radical
Jimmo podcast, JIMMO podcast. So if you're of the mindset of a LGBT Q Plus or you're a gay man listening to the podcast, this is like cute little stories. Like some of them are like 13 minutes and some of them have different parts. I thought this was such a cute podcast. They're very romantic stories, generally very clean, like not over sexualized, and so
like
I thought it
us
was
until
cute.
we get loincloths brought up.
Whatever. Who doesn't? I'm sure if the shoe was on the other foot.
Oh yeah.
There was enough breasts and loincloths to satisfy anybody.
Matter of fact, we praised those breasts, right? We said those ample breastises were just beautiful this year. We're very multifaceted.
If I had to have a pair, then yes, I would have gone with that.
You would have went with those sword and sorcery ones. I mean, the sword and the sorcerer movie version of the breasts. So, yes, Radical Ones, thank you so much for this whole season, because this is our season finale leading up to this, which started with Xanadu, David, and a tribute to Olivia Newton-John. Does that not feel like 20 years ago at this point? That was only last September, David.
I know, the time really, really went by really fast. I
mean, flew by. Not for us, because we're always recording.
But I know, I honestly feel like we did Xanadu like in June or something of this year. Like it doesn't feel like we did it a long time ago.
Crazy. So also we can't not thank lovely Leah again for supplying us with clips from Thundercats through our episodes, including today's episode. Clips were supplied by her, so thank you so much. Thank you for everyone who has liked, shared, and laughed with us this season. Thank you, of course, to Rob and our special guest, Cadu, for popping up a few times this season.
Can't wait to see and hear more of some special guests, and I don't know, it's really fun. I feel like we're growing, and in all honesty, again, we always talk about this, we do this because we have a love for it.
Send money. Like you said, please.
Patreon. Actually, I mean, really, come on now. No, I'm just kidding. We don't even have a Patreon.
No, it's there. We just have nothing on it. If you wanted us to have Patreon, Radical Ones, let us know. We'll be working a little harder, but we love to bring you that content. So yes, next week technically will be Thundercats. You will still hear us if you listen and follow through on our Thundercats reviews. And then come back in September. There might be something that might pop up before we start again in October. This is a great time to catch up on the previous season, David.
Give us a thumbs up, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your neighbors.
And your husbands.
Tell the people in your town.
Everybody.
Like Brittany says, you better work, bitch.
And we will be. We will be working to bring you an amazing season premiere. That is the first week of October. Until next time, have a wonderful summer. What's left of it?
Well, I live in the West, so it's always summer here. Actually, I'm actually looking forward to it being a little cooler.
Yeah, you're looking forward to cooler temperature.
I don't want to look out my window and see birds flying and then bursting into flames as they're
God, no. We hope to see you in October, Radical Ones, with our new season, Season 4. Here we go, baby.
Bye.
Bye. And so did the Radical Ones brave the sword and sorcery summer. And having no further movies of concern, Ryan and his comrades sought adventures in October. Many movies and TV shows did they cover. Speech doctors and English translators were used upon their words. In time, Radical Retro became a hit in its own way. This story shall also be told.